playing in church because that's just kind of the easiest, the most practical place to go to. When you're not in a band, you can play in a church band. So that's what I did. I grew up playing, and at the church that I grew up playing in, our songs were pretty simple. I mean, we kept it pretty straightforward. Four chords. And I'm from Nashville, so it was very acoustic guitar driven, just guitar driven in general. So I learned all the keys I learned to play in were E, C, G, A, and just 4 chords pretty much, all guitar keys and guitar chords. And so that's what I started learning. And one song that we played, and this is about as complicated as we would get, was a song that if you have ever been to a church service in the early 2000s or mid 2000s, if you've ever walked by a church, if you've ever looked at a church, you've probably heard this song, and the chords to this would be right, okay, so that's kind of as complicated as we would get. And then I went to, and by the way, because I could play that song, I thought I was a G. I thought I was like a baller keyboard player, like a beast. I thought, honestly, I don't say this as much in the shows because it's embarrassing, but I thought I was like genuinely as good as you could get at piano. I mean, what else do you want? Like, I can play every note, I can play all the chords for that note, major and the minor. Those are the 2 chords for all the notes. So I can go, what do you want, you know? I can do anything. I'm a beast, right? Wrong. I went to college, and I went to Lee University of all places, which half of my friends at Lee were studying jazz musicians, and the other half were just these crazy gospel chop church players. And I went from thinking I was the best that you could be to not being comfortable when someone would refer to me as a musician. And that is the God honest truth. I mean, people would be like, "Oh, keyboard, Clark plays the keyboard." I'm like, "Shut up. No, I don't play. I don't try. I try to. I mumble with my fingers is what I do." And then finally, one of the churches around that was pretty big and really known for their music, is Marlon here tonight? Marlon Robertson? He's here. I guess he's not here. Well, he was a keyboard player at this church, and he broke his foot so bad that he had to be rushed to the hospital to have surgery on the foot. This was on Saturday night, and they had service in the morning. So they're in a mad rush. They're calling everyone they knew, everyone they know that could possibly do it. They called everyone, and nobody could do it. And when they finally got to the very bottom of their list, and they called everyone they could possibly call, then they finally called somebody else, and he couldn't do it either. And then they said, "Hey, we need to play here." And I was like, "Oh my gosh, yes, I'm down. Like, let's do this." It ended up being a 3 or 4 month stint that I would play at this church. And at this kind of a church, when the worship section of the service would conclude the last song, and the whole band would leave the stage, and they would go up, somewhere near the aisles or near the front where they could get back up again if they needed to. But the keyboard player would not do that. The keyboard player wouldn't go anywhere. The keyboard player would stay right here, in case he needed to back up the pastor. Now let me tell you what that means. At this kind of a church, sometimes, oftentimes, the pastor will get excited. And when he gets excited, or she gets excited, you need to get excited on the keyboard. #1 chord. So, when he gets excited, you might just come in first, just nice and soft when you can feel like it's about to happen. You might come in with something like just something churchy like that. And if he says something you like, you can throw in one of these. And that's whenever you want. Whenever you want to, you can. That's just. If he looks back at you something, you can be like. If you feel extra frosty, you can add in a. And you gotta move like that too. You gotta go. You can't just be like. See, it didn't even work. You gotta just like, something. And you're here, and then eventually, he's gonna start singing. Not a song. He'll just start singing whatever he is singing at the time that he is ever so excited about. So you'll be here, and then he's gonna start singing a little bit. And when he does that, you do what's called the rumbles. You take your left hand, and you're gonna go like this. Okay? Let me show you what that sounds like. So you're here, and he starts singing a little bit, and then you do this. And once you start doing that, you play these chords, and then he gets really excited and starts going like, well, I wish I had somebody with me tonight. Am I preaching to anybody tonight? You see, I came all the way from Nashville, Tennessee to tell and you might even throw in a double rumble, which is this. And you're just gonna keep doing that, okay? No matter how hype he gets, you just stay right there in the rumble zone until he starts to list things. Now, when he starts to list things, the band is as soon as you start rumbling, the band's already like, okay. They're up, okay? They're back on. They're with you. And when he starts to list things, you do what's called hits in between the spaces of the things that he's listing, okay? So it goes like this. So you're here, you're rumbling along, okay? And then he's gonna start saying something like, I wish somebody would understand it. I'm not just gonna praise him today, but I'm gonna praise him every single Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday again, cause I know him as my Jehovah, Rapha, Nissi, Amini. And when he's done, you'll know because he'll just scream like this. What? Let me play this thing. What about the praise break? Right? Y'all know what a praise break is? The praise break is this thing that happens where it's a break in the service to praise God with your feet. It's biblical, don't freak out. And there's a specific type of music that's played when this break happens and people want to dance and shout, and it's called shouting. The dance is literally called shouting. That's how extra it is, okay? But hear me now. There's nothing more awkward than an out-of-place praise break. When the band goes into the praise break and no one's really feeling that yet. No one's ready for that. Okay, you know what I mean? No one's up. Okay? It's just not the time. So here's a way to know next time you are the musical director of a Pentecostal worship band. Here's how you know when it's time to do the praise break. When the pastor says a certain number of people, that's his wink to you like, hey, I'm about to do a praise break. Don't do it yet, but know it's close. Okay? It's close. Make sure you're, look around, make sure your drummer's not on his phone, and, we're good to go. Okay? When he says a certain number of people, and then he says a certain amount of time, green means go. Clear for liftoff. You start the praise break at that time immediately. Let me show you what it sounds like. So you've already done the, I'm gonna praise him on Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Wow! And he's gonna go, oh, you see, I wish I had 17 people to give him some praise. That's still, right? Oh, but when he says, I wish I had 17 the offering chord. Don't miss this. See, some of you church people just reach for your wallet.